Calling and buloluku. With whatever we do. Dion isafu no la. With whatever we do. Hale yi demu school. Nyepamne ne kudlukula. Nyepangi ragala gena. Nyepamne ne kudlukula. Ibuloke no moto ni beti sola. Ibuloke dato ni betoto.
Bengi Congo.
Lamin.
Na?
Lamin te jibe norin te nyame Lamin.
Kabana wulo kono.
Wulo kono nyinta mo Lamin.
Pabilenki.
Muna ngata afongole.
Haina.
Ngata. Ngoto le. Fabrama.
Bengi. Baba nyola.
Ngoto le Fabrama.
Namu jumala kan kumandi ten.
Fabrama.
Jumala mu.
Ndele bare muso.
Lunda mana.
Famo kata.
Jamani mbere.
Alindo ko.
Jamani.
Bari ngoto man kontande.
Bari jamani fana na ramudu ma kontan.
Ngoto minaka ngalamin de fom filitala. Lamin jibe nori nyaala.
Lamin ila siran sama ne benki. Yala so tol sayni no ko mo lakko momo.
Ngoto.
Nam.
Itedinte yalo ne Lamin hakilo diata bake karambu ngoto. Anu santeng ministry ko di ngole si suko na amanke ko do holiday
si bitun
bagona de
ala ni ko kede namo balo
ala ni na ko na karta bulo be damna ala ni je
ngoto
nam
ngoto mon kontan fere
jamani mu nekata
ite ka Lamin ki wulo ko no nyinta mon ko do fete malo Lamin nyanta sila la be la moy kala karango
jamani karamol be soron ne ko fasita wulo ko nako
karamol ma soron ni ko karamol soron da amanke kom holiday lem ngoto dini ngo nyanta sila la ala karango la moy yamen kamen fue man kontaan andamande
alla nyin kombo courant adanda la kombo len do la jankara mol soron do kamen courant ma rado la kombo e to ndol fana na kara mol soron je kara mol soron Lamin ada lo nyino la amantara fe na sokon ala munekela
am Lamin ite foyde malon ko lesinol be ke kar radio to
nga fine
e ko yana di mod Lamin ya muna fonye
bi kabin mina kan tambita nteri mañing Fatou tambite la sukal ala dinngol bebe siri be la moy ka
Fatou danso am fana tambita jele ni subala la ngaje dinngol be jet talanta nen kili warol e be serin jelet
sa Lamin fanante ku kili wo ke no la ba Lamin bita ka wulo ko no nyin taymo Lamin
amandara fennela
ite dine ko ni man si yakari lesino la moy radio to e balon nan
muneka ke afonde ma nyara ni alon
telentel jikot
afonde ma munebe ke
ite balon tel be jikiritel ni man karambe ku kele yaje nata karana mbasa malaya e tarije
par ñarande kombo courant ho findira kombo ide nara yede ni sonka bay ko Lamin ma ñata la wulo ko kara mo be so da fa ñembe be
ko to wole nati ba ngal le ni Lamin kuntal kombo courant o ka fa me kombo courant asototal wala kinay ko e si suwo kono bari ni ko e si suwo kono be karangol di ke la radio lin telel to hani tele masoto to nyaay man tele soto da bongo bar radio be bulen ko to batiri sanga ay si ay alamo
sa do kala nyaadi
ko ta o bulaji
abe kala nyaadi
kamun ke nyaadi
radio abe wala moy la ibe mona falaje
ibe la karandirol kala jele
ti jalle be radio ko men ka karandi
ila subject ro baby jele baby jele
wala nan ka coco moy fa dan se wolya ngombe tambi kana ngadi ngol je be ikadum bungo ko kala ma mo
asototal de
Lamin mala be karawala de
bari laftalal ideal on ko inde every year second wala fourth
muna ni ko nde ko folle sini lamba nde le sini no ne ba
sa mba foke en koto wole fango yen wulindi yalo famo keta bat yu fana bulata ko ko me yen nati jambi Lamin nyanta karana ntel be jiko be nyineka ya bulay kara wulo kono ta kilar ya bambalo yo be bulaje koto dinni ngoy si ayala le sino la moy radio
wora ga munda kara mo man soro Lamin nyanta kara si suka re
la sino le ayala le sino
dal ko korno ko smolon
kilar ya
mo be ngela ko momo sa mi do ni ko no kera
bengi bruso
ndebe ko do la da ba rosa no radio ba no bari woro radio ni abe jele ba do ngamra do man nembe buljan dala nyara nyar wofra ko fendi mo la Lamin tayra ba rosa
bara te ku folo ajibe nori nya Lamin tamete ku
teku
bari ko do famo ke
imagine nani nyambol si zol le keje kisiki man si zol no le kafun ka nyoma bari nyambu kino ni manya na kafindi ni nambe ko zol la ga
ngale limbeta de be nyambo do dilanna
nyara ni ko rim fennat nyara nata
bari famo ke da
ngata bungono Kami bungkono nyara gando ko fele ko kete baru nganda ni pelo la dijak
iyo awe betar la
bungkono bismillah bisu diara
ye fongo tanka sina dolu tanka koro ta koro
Hello, viewers and listeners. My name is Ernest Gomez, and today our presentation will be on stages in human development. Human beings grow from babies to adults. Now, this growth happens in different stages. As a result of that, we will be looking at those different stages in human development. In looking at those stages, we will be talking about physical developments or physical features in each of the stages. And those are the physical features, including other generalizations that we will be using to categorize or to come out with the different stages in human development. First, we have an age range, that is the first stage, which ranges from birth to 2 years. Once a child is given birth to, the very first day he is given birth to, up to the time he or she is at 2 years, is what we regard as the first stage in human development. Now, let's look at what we have before us here. It's an image of a baby, I will call it, who is within the age range given here as the first stage in human development. That is from birth to 2 years. So we are going to start observing or looking at some of the physical features that are true about babies that are within this age range. That is the first stage in human development, that is from birth to 2 years. If you have a baby in your home who is within this age range, that is from birth to 2 years, take a close look at the baby. In this presentation, we will also talk about not the physical features, but some generalizations about the different stages. So it's like in each stage, we will be talking about two similar things, that is the physical features and some of their generalizations in each stage. The physical features of babies at the first stage of human development are, we said, they have a big head. If you look at a baby at birth to 1 month, 2 months, up to 1 year, if you take a close look at their head, it is slightly bigger than the rest of the body. That is a physical characteristic of babies at this first stage of human development. So one, we say they have a big head. If you also take a close study or look at a baby within the age range of, let's say, birth to 2 years, you will realize that they have a short trunk. When I say trunk here, what do I mean? That is the back. If you take a close look at a baby, the back is always very short. That is our second description or characteristics used to describe a physical feature of a baby. We move on to the third characteristics in our today's presentation. What would that be? Take a close study of a baby between the age of birth to 2 years. You will agree with me that they are not muscular. And when we say not muscular, in simple terms, they are not strong. From birth to 2 years, you see babies kicking, and when you take a close look at them, you will realize that their muscles are not strong. And if you want to prove that, just feel their body, or you hold them. If you have one at home, just move or go closer to that baby and hold him or her and feel. Now, what name do we give to this stage in human development? This stage of human development is called infancy. Can we spell it together? I-N-F-A-N-C-Y. And if you are also watching or listening, it is good that you have a pen and a notebook and be writing down some of these important information because you will need them in times of activity and assignment. We move on to some generalizations about infancy. I am not talking about the physical features or physical characteristics. We've talked about the physical characteristics, and now we are moving to the generalizations about infants. First, it is the first important stage in life. You cannot skip this stage to another stage. It is the beginning of life. And because it is the first stage or first important stage in life, infants or babies therefore rely on others. They rely on others for what? One, to meet most of their needs. They need food. They want to eat, but they cannot do it themselves. Just imagine a baby, a 1-month-old baby, 1-year-old baby, to go and cook or provide food for him or herself. They can't. This is why we say one of the generalizations is they must rely on other people for most of their needs. Also, they learn to trust other people. As they are growing up, they learn to trust people that they live with most of the time. Let's take a close look at the babies and their mothers. Mothers and babies are always together most of the time. As a result of that, as they are growing, there becomes a time when they will get used to the mother, and because they are used to the mother, they also build trust in them. And this is why sometimes babies in our homes, if you are a stranger, when you want to pick them up, there is always that some kind of resistance. Or if a baby is sitting or is with somebody and a mother who that baby trusts is just passing by, the baby will start stretching, moving towards the baby. That is to show that the baby learns to trust that mother or that individual. It does not only happen to the mother. It could happen to the father, to the younger sister, or to any other relatives in the home. Also, another generalization is that they need security in order to develop. They need to be guided. You have to protect them in order to develop. If they are left alone without not being secured, their development, that is physically and emotionally, will be seriously affected. Because there might be that fear in them. And once there is fear in you at a point in time in life, you tend not to show out some of the things in you. So they need security. Finally, they also need to be loved and nurtured. That is to show them what is good, what is acceptable in our societies. We now move on to the second stage in human development. The next stage of human growth ranges from 2 to 12 years. At this stage, some of the physical features at the second stage in human development are, let's study the picture here. We can see children within the age of 2 to 12. And if you have a child at home between the age of 2 to 12, just quickly take a close look of him or her. One of the physical characteristics or feature about this second stage in human development is that they have short limbs. What do I mean by short limbs? That is, they have short legs. Limbs here is the same as legs. Another physical feature about babies or children at this stage, that is 2 to 12 years, is that they have a sizable head. Unlike the previous stage, that is infancy, the first stage in life, the head is bigger, slightly bigger than the body. But at the age of 2 to 12, the size of the head reduced. This has to do with some developments or some growth in the body. Third is that they have a tall trunk. In the beginning of this presentation, now the second stage in human development, we said it ranges from 2 to 12 years. And the third physical characteristics is that they have a tall trunk, that is the back. In the first stage, we said the back is short, the trunk is short. But here in the second stage, it is long, and the limbs are short. What name can we give to this stage or the second stage of human development? Can somebody try? It is called childhood. Let's write that down together. Childhood is the second stage in human development. Now that we talked about the physical features or characteristics about childhood, now let's look at some of the generalizations. And the generalizations are, at this stage of human growth, children explore and develop a sense of independence. At this stage, as they are exploring their surrounding, they sometimes tend to do things on their own. That is the independence. They do not need somebody beside them, or they will not need to call you to come to them. At times they feel like doing things on their own, finding out more about their surrounding. It starts at this stage. They also learn to make decisions. Decisions like, today I am going to play with Lamin per se. Yes, I've taken a decision. I have Lamin, Buba, and Fatu here. I am going to play with Lamin. That's my decision. That's an example of learning to make their decisions. Also, at this stage of human development, that is 2 to 12 years, children need guidance as they test new skills in order to gain confidence. Remember, we said here that as they grow, as children grow, they explore and develop a sense of independence. But also, as they are testing their skills, new skills particularly, they need to be guided. Particularly when it has to do with school or learning process. If they have somebody beside them, a parent, a guardian, you name it. As they are guided, they tend to build confidence in whatever they are doing. This is another generalization about this stage in human development. We now move on to the third stage in human development or human growth. At this stage, fast growth occurs. What do we mean by that? Children or those that are within this age range grows very fast. It is also called a period of change. That is the time you start to see some changes in your body. It ranges from 12 to 21 years. Don't be offended if these changes start at the age of 10 in you. Remember, we are talking about stages in human development. And the third stage, we said it ranges from 12 to 21 years. Let's study this picture carefully. It shows an image of a girl whose age is between 12 and 21. If you are also out there and has an age range between 12 and 21, then we are talking about ourselves. That is, we are within this age range. That is the third stage. Let's take a look at some of the physical characteristics or features that can be figured out in children that are within 12 and 21 years. Start with one. We said hairs start to grow on some part of the body. At the age of 12 and 21, you see hairs growing on some parts of the body. It was not happening when we were at the first and second stage. Also, the size and shape of the body changes. These are physical characteristics. You can see them by looking at children within the age of 12 and 21, or 12 and, we're talking about the third stage here, so we have to limit ourselves to that. That is 12 to 21. We start to see their body change. That is physical. There are generalizations. First, we said some generalizations about adolescents are as follows. Now, I ask, what name do we give to this stage in human development? That is the third stage, ranging from 12 to 21 years. We call it, and let's write it together, adolescence. ADOLESCENCE. Adolescence is the third stage in human development. And we said some of the physical features that adolescents experience at this stage, the size and shape of their body changes, and also hairs start to grow on some part of their body. Now we look at the generalizations. One, they are concerned with finding their identities and expressing who they are in the world. At adolescent stage, you are so much concerned about finding out your identity. Who am I? Where am I from? What am I going to be in future? Am I going to be a nurse? So I have to start now. That is, what am I going to be tomorrow? Am I going to be a teacher? You start it now at the third stage. Also, like I said earlier, many physical changes takes place, and adolescents must adapt to the changing bodies. As your body is changing, they also try to adjust themselves in order to cope with the changes in their bodies. That is another generalization. These changes can make adolescence a confusing and stressful period. At times, as changes are occurring in you, you tend to be confused, most especially if it is happening the first time. We now move on to the fourth and final stage in human development in this presentation. It is called adulthood. Can we write, as we are writing, we spell it together, ADULTHOOD. That is the fourth stage and the final stage in human development or human growth. Adulthood is when an individual is physically matured. At this stage in human development, fast growth may not occur as in the previous stage, as in the last stage, that is adolescence. At the age of 12 to 21, adolescents grow fast, but at the age of 21 and above, fast growth, it tends to occur not as it was when you were an adolescent. It is advisable to marry or be married at this stage of development. You may be tempted to say, I am seeing changes in my body, so I will marry at adolescent age. Say no to that. And why? Because our bodies are not yet physically strong. We are not yet matured. As a result of that, let's wait for maturity age, that is adulthood. In adolescent stage, most of us are school-going children or adolescents. So if you are married, it may stop you from attending school. You may not be going to school because you'll be thinking of taking care of your babies or children at home. Now, before us here is an image of a man and a woman. This is a typical example of the stage we are talking about, that is adulthood, the maturity stage. Let's look at some of the generalizations about this stage in human development. This is the stage adults decide who they want to live with. At the last stage, that is adulthood, you decide who to live with. When I say to live with, that is to marry, because you are physically matured and perhaps you are working, you can take care of your family. They also decide where to live and what type of work they want to do. I am living in Brikama today. Since from birth to adolescent stage, I've been living in Brikama. Now I am an adult. So I can decide where to live. Am I going to continue living in Brikama or move to a different place? It is at this stage that human beings start thinking about these things. That is the generalizations about adulthood. Also, most adults experience stress from dealing with older children and taking care of the aging parents. At adulthood stage, for example, you are 35 years, you are 30 years old, 26 years old, you are still an adult. You can bear children who are 7, 8, 9 years old and also living with your grandparents at home. Taking care of them at times gives you or causes stress in you because of their actions. You may see actions or things that they are doing that is not pleasing to you. So these actions tend to lead you into developing some stress. Now, we have some questions to answer before us. Listen carefully to the descriptions about the stages in human growth or human development. And then you tell me. which of the stage is being described? Question 1. I am 7 years old. I have short limbs and a sizable head. Which stage of human development am I? I repeat, I am 7 years old. I have short limbs and a sizable head. Which stage of human development am I? Yes, that it is. Our answer is childhood. That is the age range that ranges from 2 to 12 years. And to spell it, it is there, written earlier on. Number 2, Ida starts to see changes in her body. She grows fast and has developed breasts. Which stage of human development is she? An answer? Yes. She's under adolescent stage or adolescent. Now, I leave you with an assignment to do. And the assignment is, number 1, state 2 physical characteristics for each of the named stage of human development or human growth below. State 2. 1. The first one, childhood. Give me 2 physical characteristics about childhood. 2. Give me 2 physical characteristics about infancy and also about adulthood. So childhood, infancy, and adulthood each give 2 physical characteristics. This brings us to the end of our presentation. Thank you, viewers and listeners, and please stay home and be saved.